Now, a short detective story set in California, in which the characters want to be independent of the script. The authors are Richard Lewis and Louis Robinson. Colin Stinton reads The Parcel of Dreams.
The sign on my door reads Flip Fletcher, private investigator. I'm written tough, so I act that way. You know the kind of thing. Off-white raincoat and online wit. A snappy line when the plot gets heavy. California sunlight streamed through the slatted blinds and pricked the back of my neck. I woke up to discover I was asleep. An empty liquor bottle smiled at me. I would have smiled back. We'd had a good time together. But Sousa was busy writing another march inside my head. Then the phone rang. The caller was a dame. She was on edge, in trouble, and someplace over on Ventura Boulevard. I parked my car and walked up to her house, a big place with just enough ostentation to make it look tacky. I rang the doorbell. The door opened, and there she stood, a vision in black.
"You must be Mr. Fletcher. I thought you'd be older."
I thought I was. She was trying to put me on edge. I didn't like it. I was no newcomer. I had a past. I followed her through the marbled hall, the kind of place I dreamt I dwelt in, when I bothered to dream at all. Most times when I did dream, I dreamed about dames like her. This was a lady with a capital Lay. This wasn't the kind of girl you took home to meet Mother. Mother wouldn't like her. Mother would think she was selfish, expensive, and dangerous. Mother would be right. We walked the length of Yankee Stadium to a room at the back of the house. There was no sign of servants, so I crossed the butler off my list of suspects and followed her into the library. The shelves groaned with old dust-covered movie scripts, some of the great originals, introducing the Jedi, Lunch, the Bismarck, the Three Stooges, and the Temple of Doom.
"Mr. Fletcher,"
she began.
"Or can I call you Flip?"
"For what you'll be paying, lady, you can call me Carmen, Alice, or Mildred." I waited for a smile. It didn't come.
"Sorry. They told me your name was Flip."
I opened my mouth to explain, and then thought better of it.
"Mr. Fletcher,"
she said,
"I've been a little careless. I seem to have mislaid my husband. I've tried all the usual places. I even looked for him in the book, under H. When he wasn't there, I went on. I found you under F. You were local. You got my call."
I told her I took $25 a day plus expenses.
"When can you start?"
I just did. She offered me a cigarette. I lit it and let the smoke curl up around my nose a while before drawing it back into my mouth. She waited until my coughing subsided, then spoke again.
"Let me tell you a story, Mr. Fletcher. It's about a young girl who came to Los Angeles from Ohio. She met a man she dreamed about all her life. He opened up a whole new world for her."
She crossed the room and sat beside me, close beside me. Any closer and she would have been wearing my underwear.
"Everything she ever knew or became was because of him. She worshipped him with a feeling she supposed was love. She looked up to him. He was tall. She married him, and then he changed. Flip, the girl in the story is me."
No kidding. She blew her nose, and I made a mental note to have my suit cleaned. "Where do you think he might be?"
"I think," her voice dropped to whisper, "I think there's someone else."
That didn't add up for me. Either she was lying or my arithmetic was wrong. He wouldn't have left her for someone else. She was the kind of someone else men left for. But I decided to play along. "I'll need a photograph," I said. She pointed to a desk drawer. I found the mug shot. Next to it lay a bundle of feathers, some broken china, a diamond ring, and a small caliber automatic. This was a busy drawer. I left the house and walked 2 blocks down the street. Suddenly, a thought struck me. I turned on my heel and ran the 2 blocks back. I'd forgotten my car. That night, I dropped by a low dive on the east side. Someone had removed the dive, so I settled for 2 lengths and a shower. Later in the bar, I spotted a face I knew, a weasel by the name of Vandegelde. I twisted his arm, and he gave me some information. He told me it hurt. "Okay, Vandegelde, what's a bad guy like you doing in a nice place like this?"
"But, Mr. Fletcher, what's a nice guy like you doing looking for a bad guy like me in a nice place like this?"
He had a point. He also had a better line. I didn't like it. I asked him for the lowdown on the lady.
"She's trouble, Flip. She's been everywhere, done everything. Juggling with plates, magician's assistant dancing with doves. She's been trying to make it, but she's a small-time talent in a big-time body. She started in the same troupe as Zelda. You remember Zelda, don't you, Flip?
Sure, I remember Zelda.
She's back with the fat man. He's bought the Helter-Skelter bamboo bar on Sunset and Vine. He set her up as the main attraction.
So, Zelda was back with the fat man. I made my way back through the mean streets, past has-beens and deadbeats, my kind of people. High-rise and low-life, my kind of town. Somewhere, I knew a piano player was putting down a cigarette and picking up a melody. The subplot was about to unfold. At the Helter-Skelter, the fat man greeted me with a nervous smile. I could see why they called him the fat man. I looked around me. He was everywhere.
Mr. Fletcher, news has reached me that you have been conversing with our mutual friend Van de Gelder, the Dutch rough diamond dealer.
I didn't know you spoke weasel.
I talk to many kinds of animal, Mr. Fletcher. A man in my position must mix with everyone.
What made you sink your ill-gotten gains into a joint like this, fat man?
This establishment does ample justice to Lady Zelda's talents, Mr. Fletcher. You remember what a fine singer Zelda is?
How could I forget? When Zelda sang, it was verse and chorus, and she wasn't choosy who she sang to. Sometimes it was a packed nightclub audience, other times a small cluster of cops. Some of her admirers paid on the door, others paid on Alcatraz. The waiter arrived and stood next to me with a tray. I told him to take it back and bring me a bourbon. The fat man still looked nervous. He sat there, sipping ice water and sweating. If they were giving awards for sweating this year, here was a man who'd be knee-deep in acceptance speeches. The waiter returned. No bourbon, but a large measure of concern. He spoke to the fat man, who then spoke to me.
I'm afraid we seem to be minus our main attraction this evening. Our canary has flown the bamboo cage.
Suddenly, the missing persons business was booming. I had a bad feeling. It was hunger. I remembered I hadn't eaten for 3 stories. I grabbed a sandwich at the corner deli and trudged up to my office to eat it. A message awaited me on my desk. I wondered why someone would write on my desk, and made a mental note to buy some paper. I read the message. It was from Zelda. Flip, darling, I had to skip. Meet me at the Delta car lot at midnight. It was signed Z. Zelda and me go back a long way. There was a time when I thought we might make it, but I solved the case before she got back into the story. The Delta car lot was dark. I struck a match.
Hi, Flip.
It was Zelda. Hi, kid. How long's it been?
2 stories.
She was as smart as ever.
Listen, Flip, we're in great danger. I'm scared. We gotta...
The rest was lost. Something hit me from behind. I felt sick. A black hole opened at my feet. I slid down into it. The next thing I knew, I was looking at the face of an unloved child who'd grown up to be a cop, Lieutenant Wilbur of the LAPD. Where am I? I groaned.
You're in my office. There's a light shining in your face and a whole lot of explaining not coming out of your mouth.
Wilbur was always strong on sympathy. What do I have to explain? One minute I'm looking at the face of a princess, next thing I wake up I'm talking to a frog.
We got word you was at the Delta car lot, Fletcher. When we arrived, we found you slumped over the body.
Zelda?
Nah, Mr. Dieter Peter Van de Gelder. For such a bad-looking guy, he sure makes a good-looking corpse. Now tell me, what was you doing in a car lot with a stiff?
I guess I'm just unlucky in love. Not a bad line. I started to feel better. He smiled his cop smile, but his expression never changed. I told him the story. I told him how the fat man hated Van de Gelder and how he needed Zelda back at the Helter-Skelter. I told him about the lady at the big house and her missing husband. I told him everything. Then I told him again. I guess he bought my story because he threw me out at dawn, just in time for me to miss the last cab home. The door to my office was open. I stepped inside and was greeted by a familiar face.
You start early, Mr. Fletcher.
No, lady, I work late. It was the same dame who'd gotten me into all this. She took an envelope from her purse and threw it on the desk.
Your money, Mr. Fletcher. I think you'll find I've been more than generous.
She crossed her legs, folded her arms, twitched her nose, and shifted her tail. She was trying to tell me something.
These seats aren't very comfortable, Mr. Fletcher.
Why the sudden change of heart about hubby, I asked.
I may as well tell you I've been seeing someone else. He's a big-time writer. Lots of long words and descriptive passages. He's promised to write me a big part. I don't need my husband anymore. Case closed.
She got up slowly, smoothed herself down, turned, and headed for the door.
Perhaps we'll meet again, Mr. Fletcher. You might like to join me in a story sometime.
No thanks, sister. I work alone. The door closed behind her, and despite everything, I couldn't help thinking, there goes a great shape. I heard someplace that most of the body is water. If that's true, then the perfect example of surface tension just walked out of my office. I opened her envelope and counted the $10 bills. Money or no money, I couldn't stop now. An overhead neon reflected in the hood of my Plymouth as I came to a halt outside Zelda's bungalow. I opened the door, put a tightly laced brogue on the sidewalk, and splash. Rain. So this was to be the scene in the rain. I hate the scene in the rain. I crossed the street and climbed the 3 steps to Zelda's door. It was open. I pushed at it and stepped inside. The room was stacked with cheap oriental pieces that reminded me of the Chinese Quarter, but this was smaller. This was an eighth. No sign of Zelda. I pulled the door shut as I left. It was raining, hard, that special rain that soaks a private eye to the skin and dries to a damp patch before he makes his next entrance. I noticed a splinter of light from the garage and made my way towards it. I pulled up the door and took in the whole grisly sight. Zelda lay flat on her back, a monkey wrench by her side. Zelda was no mechanic. Zelda was dead. Next to her lay a short guy, say 5'3". I turned him over. It was the face I'd been hired to find. The lady's husband had been making it with Zelda. Something niggled at the back of my mind. Zelda was warm. The face was cold. They hadn't gone together, though someone was hoping it would look that way. It was shaping up to be a bad night. 2 bodies, a storm outside, and my coat in the car. Police lights flashed and radios crackled as I drove slowly past the helter-skelter. Lieutenant Wilbur was standing over the body of the fat man. My head began to spin. Vandegelde, Zelda, the face, the fat man, all dead. I put the Plymouth in gear and my brain went with it. The answer had been staring me in the face all along. I drove over to Ventura Boulevard and rang a bell. The lady answered the door and seemed surprised to see me.
Something wrong, Mr. Fletcher? I didn't skimp on your expenses.
Cut the act, sister. I'm taking you in.
You can't pin anything on me, lowlife.
That's where you're wrong. I should have seen it earlier. You made enough mistakes. You told me you tried to locate your husband in the book under H. When you found he was missing, you went and found me under F. F comes before H. You knew he was missing when you called me. You never got to H. You didn't need to. You knew he was dead. You knew because you killed him. The first time we met, you were already a widow. You were wearing black. You knew about my little chat with Vandegelde. You knew he'd told me about Zelda. You knew because he told you. He loved you. He went looking for me in my office. He read Zelda's note and told you. You told Vandegelde to kill me and Zelda in the Delta car lot, but instead he rang Wilbur. You knew he'd do that, so you killed him. You dumped his body at the car lot and cracked me. You killed Zelda to stop her from telling what she knew about you in the old days. You had no talent, no money, but great doves. You tried to get the fat man to set you up at the helter-skelter, but the fat man wanted Zelda. She had more talent than you. She sang better than you. Even the doves sang better than you. So you killed the doves. I saw the feathers. Everyone wanted Zelda, even your husband. He preferred her cheap perfume to your expensive lies. You lied to build up your part in the story. All the fancy dialogue. Lies. You couldn't wait for the leading roles to come along, could you? You had to take the fast route to the aristocracy of fame. An easy ride to top-shelf displays. I started in the pulps, lady. From the dime detectives, I worked my way up. It was tough, but I earned it. You'd stop at nothing. You lied, cheated, and killed. You even appeared with the Three Stooges. I saw the script in this very house. The house you're too small to live up to.
But, Flip, we could share it.
No dice. You've got an appointment with the D.A. Me, I've got a date with a dame who winks neon, serves bourbon, lives late, loves rough, and lets me have all the best lines.